Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast, the personal development podcast for folks who want more fulfillment, connection, purpose, and joy in life. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, a no-nonsense coach, a seasoned entrepreneur, photographer, rescue dog mum, and happy life enthusiast. Each week on the podcast, I share tools, tips, and strategies, amazing guest interviews, and uplifting conversations that will help you improve all areas of your life. Let's dive in. Hi, folks. A very warm welcome to Season 4, Episode 9 of the Lemons and Pineapples podcast with me, Emma O'Brien. In today's episode, I am going to be talking to you about how to identify and shift your limiting beliefs. So, a little bit about what limiting beliefs are. These are the often subconscious programs everybody has them, we're all running them, that shape the way our external reality really shows up for us, how life evolves, how our relationships evolve, how circumstances pan out, and of course how we then respond to the things that are happening to us in the various areas of our lives. Now, these are often beliefs that are formed when we're quite young, by listening to what people are saying to us, by the messages we receive from the adults around us. They're beliefs that come from the attachment styles with our parents and caregivers. They're things that can come from a flippant comment that somebody says when you're 5 and you just embody that because we're like little sponges when we're small. And they're all of the pieces of information, the phraseology, the things we're told, the modeling we have, the way we see other people show up. If you're a woman, a lot of your limiting beliefs are going to come from the way you've seen gender roles play out in your own family, in other people's family, in environments around you. All of these things that happen around us and the things that are said to us shape the way we see the world. They shape the way we perceive the world, and they shape the way we see and perceive ourselves, which is really where the deep work happens when we're talking about shifting limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs often take the form of things like, I'm not good enough, people like me don't do things like that, I'll never be that successful, money is hard to come by, you have to work hard to be successful, you have to earn love, I'm unlovable, I'm not valuable. They're limiting because they're generally quite negative. We don't really want to get rid of our good beliefs we have about ourselves. We want to find those and really kind of lean into them. But the work I do, and I think a lot of the self-development work, is all about how do we find the things about ourselves that keep us stuck and hold us back, and how do we recreate those so we can get to where we want to get to in life and not be stuck with our old, outdated patterning. The other place that limiting beliefs can come from is from intergenerational stuff. So you may well have heard the phrase intergenerational trauma, which I'm going to be talking about in the next episode. And really, I think it's intergenerational patterning is probably a better way to phrase it in this context of what belief systems are passed down through family lines. And some of this will be genetic stuff that comes down, but a lot of it really is the modeling that comes down through family systems of how your parents saw their parents who saw their parents doing things. And often this comes down with things like, this is the way it's always been because this is the way it's always been done. And until these beliefs are challenged, the way it's always been done is the way it always shows up, even if it's unhelpful and even if it leads to dysfunction and being stuck and not getting the results that we want to get. So how do we go about identifying these limiting beliefs? Now, if I was to ask you, you can probably share a few of them with me already. There will probably be some beliefs you have that pertain to your worth, your ability, perhaps some that are the way you look, the way your body is, the way you behave, your thinking patterns, all of those things. You'll be able to tell me probably some quite overarching ones. I'm not good enough is a It's a very overarching limiting belief. There's often far more nuanced ones underneath that, but that is a limiting belief that I think many of us can relate to, either thinking at some point in time, or maybe it is something that's running the show all the time. So there are a few ways to really kind of, you can identify them by actually just having a think about what's the general really recurring theme in my inner chatter. So if you start to listen to your inner chatter, you will probably be able to identify some of the phrases that come up quite often for you. The other thing is to start to look at what actually triggers you. So situations that trigger you, other people that trigger you, are an invitation to have a little look at, why have I been triggered here? What has that triggered in me? And what is perhaps the phrase or belief or statement that I am telling myself in response to what this other person has done, or what this particular circumstance that's shown up, what's happened, what's happened there. A really interesting one is, or this always happens to me. Things always go wrong for me. Nothing ever works out for me is a limiting belief. Maybe that's in your arsenal of limiting beliefs as well. And once we've identified them, sometimes just the process of writing them down and being able to go, oh, wow, okay, didn't realize that was running the show. You can write them down and you can start to actually observe and reflect on, how is this showing up for me? Because when we have a belief about something, our brains are wired to find evidence to support that belief. So if you have a belief that I'm not good enough, for example, you will constantly be looking for all the reasons that you aren't good enough. So anytime somebody gives you what you might perceive to be negative feedback, even if it's not, it will reinforce it. Oh, see, I'm not good enough. That person doesn't think I'm good enough. If we come to that, oh, bad things always happen to me. Every time you go out for dinner and maybe your order is brought to you and it's wrong. Ah, see, nothing, things always happen to me. This always happens to me. And when this is the way we move through the world, we're looking for that evidence. So this will be where, if people are talking about law of attraction, that you will almost feel like you're attracting in things that reinforce that belief. And actually what's happening is, probably on some level you are, because we're always wanting to reinforce what we believe is our truth. And also we're wired to find it. We're wired to find it. It's the thing, is if you are thinking about buying a particular car and then all of a sudden you start seeing that particular car on the road everywhere and you're like, God, I didn't realize there were so many Ferraris driving around. The Ferrari number has not increased. Your perception has changed and you are wired to look for Ferraris. It's the same thing when we're wired to look for reasons we're not good enough, bad things always happen, and life's a bitch, and money's a struggle, life's a struggle, it's hard. When we're looking for those things, we will find them. Our brains are very clever at doing that. So the next step really is, once we've identified them, is how do we shift them? This is the exciting and important bit, where we can actually shift the beliefs that are keeping us stuck in the patterns that we find in our lives that are unhelpful. When you can shift them, you open yourself up to a different way of being, a different behavior, and a different, better outcome. So the first thing is, once we've written them down, is, can you challenge them by finding evidence to the contrary? So I'm not good enough. We're going to keep coming back to that one because I think it's the one that so many people can relate to. Where can you make a list of all the ways you are good enough? More than good enough. All of the ways that people have congratulated you on how brilliant you are. All of the things you've accomplished in your life. All of the ways that you have excelled, all of the ways you've had wins, all of the successes you've had. Because even if you think you're not good enough, I guarantee if I asked you to tell me 5 successes you've had in life, you might have to dig deep a little bit if this belief is particularly pervasive, but you will be able to find them. So we could say, for example, if I take myself as an example, life's been a struggle. It's always difficult, and I don't know why I can't do better in life. Let's use that one. Well, if I look back at all of the things I've done some quite big things. I've had 2 successful businesses. I've been self-employed for 20 odd years and not had to go and get a job, although it's come close a few times, but I haven't had to do that. I've managed to be self-sufficient. I've moved continents. I have been divorced and remarried. I have successfully navigated lots of big changes in my life. I'm actually really quite capable. So even when the going gets a bit tough, which sometimes it does, I've always come out the other side of it. So I'm pretty capable at doing that. So it's finding evidence of why things have panned out well, things you've done well, big achievements you've had. If you can start to find the opposite of the belief you're carrying, you can start to challenge how actually accurate that belief really is. So that's step number one. There is another thing that I do with coaching clients, which is thought work. So this is the work of Byron Katie. It's called The Work, and it's a series of 4 questions that you work through in order to turn the belief that you've got around. Now, it is amazingly easy to shift even quite big beliefs in quite a short period of time using this methodology of just literally challenging them and then looking at, okay, if I believe the opposite of the limiting belief I've got, I'm not good enough, I am good enough. How am I going to show up for myself differently this week, believing I am good enough rather than I'm not good enough? Chances are, if you believe you are good enough, you're going to go for that opportunity that you wouldn't have done before. You're going to put yourself out there for something. You're going to be brave and post something online. You're going to take a little bit of a risk for yourself that might make things better that perhaps you wouldn't do if you were still running, I'm not good enough. So it's quite simple work. It's powerful, but it's quite deep work to be doing. The other thing that I have started to do with belief work as well is some energetic shamanic work on deep-seated beliefs. Often we can know we're stuck with a pattern that keeps showing up. We can intellectualize all of the things about it, but sometimes these things just don't shift. And that's where the intergenerational work can come in, because sometimes we're carrying around things that aren't ours. And when you can do some energetic healing work on a different level from our, I don't know, I guess our 3D intellectual world that we're in, if you can start to move out into an energetic realm, it's quite amazing the healing work and that you can do. This is the stuff that's happening on a subconscious level. So it can be as woo-woo or not as you want with this, really. But shamanic work I have found to be really, really useful, especially for very deep-seated things, for things that can perhaps be a little bit traumatic. You don't have to go into the event. And sometimes we don't even know what the event is, but we just need to get a sense of what's going on so we can understand it and clear it. So energy work is really, really useful for shifting limiting beliefs as well. And when we've done the work to shift things, I think I'm going to be so bold as to say the most important step is integrating the shifts. So you don't slip back into the old habits and patterns and behaviors that have been formed and that you've been doing probably for a lifetime, thanks to the beliefs you hold. So it's noticing if we're talking about the I'm not good enough belief and you've switched it to I am good enough, and there is an opportunity to apply for a job that your old self who's saying I'm not good enough would go, I'm not good enough, so I'm not even going to bother to apply. But this is the point at which when you go, cool, I'm working with my I am good enough belief, I'm going to apply for this job. And the point at which you're going to hit send on the CV and the application, that little voice starts to creep in of, is this a good idea? And it's having the self-awareness to go, okay, I recognize you, the I'm not good enough belief. I recognize you creeping back in, but I'm not going to allow you to run the show anymore, and we're going to do things differently now. It's the self-awareness to understand that the little beliefs are still going to keep creeping up and in, but can you have them in your conscious awareness and say, I'm choosing a different way of being. I don't believe that about myself anymore. Here's how we're moving through the world now. We're changing it. And it does take conscious effort to do the integration bit. A lot of people get to the belief work, to get to the shifting work, they get to going to see the shaman, they get to do the coaching session. But unless you consciously use what's happened and integrate it and consciously choose a new way of behaving, nothing changes. So the integration is so important. Can I take what I've learned? Can I take what I've shifted? Can I trust that it's shifted? And can I move forwards in a different way? This is amazing work. I am very, very confident that most people are being held back in life because of something they believe about themselves, which may or may not be theirs. It'll be outdated, it'll be unhelpful. And when you can do the work to change those belief systems, your reality changes because you move through the world differently, more intentionally, and more successfully. Whatever your version of success is in this capacity, you behave differently when you aren't walking around with a belief that keeps you stuck in an old behavior pattern. So if you want to know more about this, you can go right ahead in the show notes and you can book a breakthrough coaching session with me. This is a 75-minute session where I will help you uncover the biggest block that is holding you back right now, and we will shift it. And we will do some work on this so that you can start to build a life that's different and better and more in alignment with where you want to be going, so you can get unstuck effectively. You can go ahead and do that. If you would like to talk to me, you are welcome to pop me a DM on Instagram. It's at Emma O'Brien Coach. You are also welcome to book a free connection call with me just to chat through, get to know me, see what this is all about, find out more. You can also do that directly in the show notes. So thank you for joining me today. I'd love your feedback. So you can also send me a message via the podcast here. Let me know what came up for you. What is the biggest thing you're struggling with right now? What would be different in your life if you could shift the limiting belief that is keeping you the most stuck? I'll leave you with that. Thank you for joining me today, folks. I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please leave me a 5-star rating and a review, and make sure you share this episode with a friend who you know will also enjoy it. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Please drop me a DM and say hi at Emma O'Brien Coach. And for more information about coaching with me, please head to my website, which is emmaobrien.coach.com.